Hi there, and welcome to this day in history for April 22nd. April 22nd is the 112th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 113th in leap years, with 253 days remaining to the end of the year. April 22nd is also Earth Day, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. Today's word is rapier. Rapier is usually a noun, but can also be used as an adjective. As a noun, rapier is the name of a straight, two-edged sword with a narrow, pointed blade. As I look this up, I see that rapiers tend to be long and thin, ranging from 32 to 41 inches in length, about 82 to 104 centimeters, and less than an inch wide, 2.5 centimeters, with a sharp point and a complex and protective hilt that protects and guards the hand, keeping the hand from slipping onto the blade. They're good for thrusting and keeping an opponent at bay. Think Three Musketeers, Inigo Montoya, or Zorro. Their long swords are rapiers. The Swiss Guard of the Pope carry rapiers. Rapiers were popular in Western Europe in the 15 and 1600s and came then to be more of a fashion accessory to represent nobility or gentleman's status. Rapiers were designed to perform quick and nimble thrusting attacks and came to be the weapon of choice for fencing and dueling in the 16 and 1700s. Given that rapier swords tend to be so sharp, that word has also come into use as an adjective, metaphorically describing something that is extremely sharp or keen, quick or incisive. For example, we could always rely on his rapier wit to liven up the conversation, or she could usually get to the heart of the problem with her rapier intelligence. These examples show how rapier as an adjective conveys a sense of swiftness and sharpness, similar to the rapier sword. The word rapier comes to us from Middle French. First known use as a noun, naming this type of sword, is in 1553 and in 1824 as an adjective. Rapier. Today's word rapier was suggested by viewer Easy9 over on Odyssey. Thanks, Easy9. And if you have a word you'd like us to examine in this Word of the Day segment, drop it in the comments. We'll take a look at it. And with that, on April 22nd, 1864, the United States Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1864 that permitted the inscription, "In God We Trust," to be placed on all coins minted as United States currency. In American professional baseball, you've got your National League and your American League. The National League was founded in February of 1876, and the American League in January of 1901. Incidentally, once the American League was formed, they were considered the Junior League as compared to the National League, since the National League was formed first. There were some other reasons, too. But suffice to say that there was a bit of rivalry between the two leagues over this junior-senior business for several years after the American League was formed. Eventually, they came to an agreement that the American League is, in fact, a professional league as well, dropped the junior-senior appellations, and at the current time, both leagues currently have 15 teams. I mention this today because the first National League baseball game was played at the Jefferson Street grounds in Philadelphia on April 22nd, 1876. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you may have heard me mention that I live in Fort Worth, Texas now, but I was raised in Oklahoma City, so I have to mention that on April 22nd, 1889, the land rush of 1889 took place in Oklahoma. They'd opened up the unassigned areas of several counties in the approximate middle of Oklahoma: Canadian County, Cleveland County, Kingfisher County, Logan County, Oklahoma County, and Payne County. An estimated 50,000 people lined up at the starting line and took off at noon to stake their claims. As a side note, if you've ever heard the term boomers or Sooners in relation to Oklahomans, the boomers were the people who had agitated for this type of opening up the settlement in Oklahoma, so called because of the loudness of their demands. I guess the squeaky wheel gets the oil, and they were squeaking pretty loud. As the time for the land run drew near, some people snuck onto the land illegally, found the spot they wanted, and hid out until it was legal to stake their claim. These folks were called Sooners because they went sooner than everybody else. Veterans of that land run came to be called 89ers because it was in 1889. So you've got your Boomers, your Sooners, and your 89ers. There were several more land runs in Oklahoma after this, but this one was the first and the most famous one, and it took place on April 22nd, 1889. And since I grew up hearing about the Oklahoma Land Run every year of my life, when Earth Day came around on April 22nd, 1970, I had it somehow in my mind that it had something to do with 89er Day. But no, it's a completely separate thing. Earth Day was proposed by peace activist John McConnell to be a day to honor the earth and the concept of peace. He first suggested March 21st, 1970, which will have been the first day of spring in the Northern Hemisphere that year, and designed a lovely flag with the blue marble of Earth on it. Planning began, and as events built by a committee often take longer than one would prefer, the idea evolved to include participation by some 20 million people that first year, with organizational and financial support of the United Auto Workers Union. Earth Day is still observed annually, and this is the day, April 22nd. Today's song is The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. This lovely song was actually written in 1957 by British political singer-songwriter Ewan MacColl for Peggy Seeger. There are variations as to exactly why he wrote that song for her, so we'll leave it at that, but it did prove to be a popular song among artists and was recorded by over a half dozen musical artists before Roberta Flack sang it in 1969. Interesting story about this one. If you've ever seen the Clint Eastwood movie Play Misty for Me, you may remember hearing this song in that movie. The story goes that the song had been released. Clint Eastwood was driving down the LA freeway when he heard it on the radio. He called Ms. Flack on the phone and said he was making a movie about a disc jockey and wanted to know if he could use her song in that movie. She said yes, but she wanted to record it again as she felt it was too slow. He said, "No, it's not." The First Time Ever I Saw Your Face was released the first time on her album First Take in 1969, and then as a single in March of 1972, when Mr. Eastwood put it in the movie, and oh baby did it take off. It hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, where we find it on April 22nd, 1972, beginning the second of 6 weeks in that number 1 spot. First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. Link in the description. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with a link in your email, messaging, or social media. If you enjoy this series, you can check out the playlist that contains these videos. I'll put a link to that in the description. That description lives on YouTube, so for other platforms, I'll include a link to my blog page that's called No Really. You can also find me on Rumble, BitChute, and Odyssey. All those links in that description. Alrighty, that's all I can think of right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. This is the birthday.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
I wasn't talking to you. And from the Life is What Happens When You Make Other Plans department, more than on... Did you really? Okay, hold on. I forgot to tell it, do not disturb. Okay, we're going to do that one again. Oh, where's your microphone? Oh, get your microphone. What is it with you and this microphone? Okay, here we go. You're here with me live this morning as I stumble through. I thought I was ready to go, and my apologies for the hiccups and the baubles. See, that's all stuff that gets edited out in the edited versions. We'll have a lot to edit today. Cacophony is a sound. Cacophony is a noun that you got to read it the right way. Don't alienate people who can be helpful to you. flinging happiness all over the place. Alrighty, back to work. I think we got it this time.